He is a former federal prisoner who served time at 11 institutions of various security levels in 5 different states.
At the MDC back in October. This is a jail, by the way, that is infamous for drugs, weapons, violence.
The truth about life in jail for one of music's biggest icons has finally coming to light after an ex-prison guard revealed details of how Diddy lives every day behind bars. This revelation exposes an unimaginable side of the music mogul the world has never seen. Join us as we uncover what life is really like for Diddy without the fame. The fall of Grace Sean Combs, better known as Diddy, now finds himself confined within the walls of the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, a place infamously labeled hell on earth. For someone who once epitomized luxury and excess, his current reality is an unrecognizable and cruel contrast. Each day in this harsh environment shows just how far he has fallen from his once lofty stand. Life in jail is grueling for anyone, but for a man who has lived a life of limitless privilege, the adjustment is particularly hard. While some might believe no inmate receives special treatment, rumors suggest that Diddy's incarceration might not be as relentlessly bleak as it could be. Still, whispers of leniency do little to soften the harsh truths of life behind bars. This is a man who used to travel the globe in private jets, hopping from one mansion to another, and hosting lavish parties that were the envy of the elite. But now all of that is gone. At MDC, where luxury is not only absent but inconceivable, Diddy is facing the grim reality of a facility packed with violence, illegal substances, and chaos. Diddy's decline has been steep and swift. Just some months ago, in September 2024, his empire began to crumble under the weight of shocking allegations. Prosecutors accused him of operating a criminal enterprise tied to plenty of charges, including racketeering and multiple offenses against women. These charges marked a catastrophic fall from grace. In the 90s, Diddy became a cultural phenomenon, building a fortune and a reputation for throwing extravagant parties. His lifestyle was one that most people could only dream of. But now he finds himself far removed from the limelight, forced to face the grim realities of incarceration, a punishment that has reduced the former king of opulence to just another inmate. Reports suggest Diddy is being kept in isolation for his own safety, but solitude hardly translates to solace. Cut off from the outside world, his interactions are limited to brief visits with his legal team or family. Imagine the mental toll of being confined to a small, sterile space, alone with only your thoughts. Such isolation strips away any sense of control. Diddy's attorney has painted a grim picture of the Metropolitan Detention Center, describing it as a place far worse than just a lack of comforts. The facility is famous for its inhumane conditions. Complaints of freezing temperatures in winter and intense heat in summer are common. For inmates, each day feels like an unending nightmare, a continuous cycle of discomfort and deprivation. Inside those walls, Diddy's fame and fortune mean nothing. To the other inmates, he is just another body in the overcrowded system, subject to the same rules and routines. Survival in such an environment demands constant vigilance. Even something as seemingly trivial as securing a spot in line or a seat at mealtime can trigger violence. For high-profile inmates like Diddy, the danger is amplified, as he is a potential target for those seeking notoriety or leverage. Former prisoners have shared harrowing accounts of living in perpetual fear, their days marked by unpredictable outbreaks of violence and the ever-present threat of harm. Sources indicate that Diddy is being held in the Special Housing Unit, SHU, where inmates are confined to their cells for 23 to 24 hours a day. Every aspect of his life is tightly controlled and heavily monitored. Movement is rare and strictly regulated, with inmates shackled in leg irons, handcuffs, and belly chains whenever they leave their cells, accompanied by multiple guards. Corruption within MDC adds another layer of danger. Reports suggest some guards turn a blind eye to inmate altercations, smuggle contraband, or even incite violence for their own amusement. In a place where power dynamics are in constant flux, survival often hinges on forming alliances and navigating an intricate web of trust and betrayal. Public reaction to Diddy's plight has been deeply divided. Some see his incarceration as a long overdue reckoning, a form of justice for his alleged crimes. Others, however, express genuine concern for his safety, arguing that regardless of the accusations, no one deserves to endure the horrors of a facility as infamous as MDC. But that's not all. Life in jail. Diddy's life inside the Special Housing Unit, SHU, is very different from the opulence he once basked in. His days begin at 6 a.m. sharp, with a wake-up call that cuts through the eerie silence of his confined quarters. Nights are no better. While the SHU is generally quiet, the occasional scream pierces the stillness, jolting him from what little rest he manages to get. This harsh routine is miles away from the calm mornings he once enjoyed in his million-dollar mansion. Back then, his days started in soft sheets, surrounded by expansive rooms adorned with luxury at every corner. But now he finds himself confined to a claustrophobic cell that offers nothing but concrete walls and a humbling bolted iron bed. Natural light is elusive here. The only illumination comes from a harsh strip light overhead, casting a clinical glow on his surroundings. Beside his bed lies a tiny sink and toilet crammed together in a corner, the bare minimum for human needs. This is his world for 23 hours each day. His only company, aside from brief visits from family or his lawyer, might be a cockroach scuttling across the floor. Isolation breeds unusual coping mechanisms, and in the SHU, where connection to the outside world is minimal, even talking to oneself can feel like a lifeline. Diddy's family is permitted to visit, providing short moments of relief, but those encounters are rare. Most of his time is spent staring at the same walls, battling the crushing monotony of his existence. Each morning, he is required to make his bed, mop the floor, and clean his toilet and sink. For someone who once had an entourage of staff catering to his every order, these chores are a humbling adjustment. However, they provide a small measure of structure, a way to mark time in a place where days blur together into a never-ending cycle. His meals arrive through a small opening in the cell door, an obvious departure from the gourmet feasts he once enjoyed. Gone are the days of lavish dinners at exclusive restaurants where a single meal could cost thousands. Now he faces meager meals like powdered scrambled eggs, stale white bread, milk, and overly sweet juice. Each meal adheres to the minimum legal caloric intake of 1,800 calories per day, but the quality is awful. The food is rarely hot, often lukewarm or outright cold by the time it reaches him. Stories even circulate of maggots-infested meals, a horrifying thought for any inmate. The psychological toll of such degradation can be immense, but it is an unavoidable part of life in the SHU. Despite these hardships, Diddy's financial resources offer him some slight advantage. His access to the prison commissary allows him to purchase small comforts such as candy, coffee, tea, and snacks to supplement his unappetizing meals. Personal items like clothing and a radio can also be bought, small tokens that ease the suffocating isolation of his environment. However, even his wealth has its limits here. Prison regulations cap spending at $160 every 2 weeks, a petty sum compared to the millions he once spent without a second thought. For a man who famously donned a $500,000 diamond-studded gold chain, such financial constraints must feel stifling. This limited budget forces him to prioritize his purchases carefully. Does he indulge in candy and snacks to distract from the bland meals, or save his allowance for items that provide longer-lasting comfort, like toiletries or entertainment? Every decision emphasizes the harsh difference between his past and present life. Entertainment options are scarce. Reading might offer an escape, but access to books is limited. The SHU lacks a traditional library, leaving inmates to rely on the jail's TrueLinks electronic law library. While it provides legal resources, it falls short of an expansive literary collection. The monotony of his surroundings does leave little room for mental stimulation, making even the smallest diversions feel like treasures. An ex-prison guard who worked in similar facilities once revealed just how dehumanizing life behind bars can be. For high-profile inmates like Diddy, the contrast between their former lives and their current realities is especially scary. The routine, lack of freedom, and constant reminders of their fall from grace create an environment designed to break even the strongest spirits. But for Diddy, the challenge lies not just in surviving the physical confines of his cell, but in grappling with the mental toll of such an extreme shift in circumstances. His days are a far cry from the grandeur he once knew. Every detail of his life now serves as a reminder of what he has lost, and the reality of his situation leaves little room for escape. Well, it's not just the living conditions, but also the security of life. The fight for survival life inside the Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, is hell. At MDC, personal space is a rarity. Each inmate has a bed outfitted with a flimsy 1 or 2-inch mattress, no pillow for even the slightest relief, and a small locker to store their belongings. In practical terms, this means an inmate has a cramped 3 by 5 foot area to move around, which is just 15 square feet of living space. One former inmate lamented the utterly degrading state of affairs, noting that even basic human rights seem to be non-existent within those walls. The atmosphere of confinement and isolation, coupled with the absence of fundamental resources, weighs heavily, especially on someone like Diddy, accustomed to a life of abundance and convenience. Hygiene standards at MDC are another glaring issue. Inmates are permitted to shower only 3 times a week, and even this minimal allowance is far from a reprieve. The shower facilities, plagued with mold and neglect, are described as disgusting, a breeding ground for bacteria, and a reminder of the prison's neglect of basic cleanliness. For someone like Diddy, who lived in a spacious, clean space, the difference in living conditions must be staggering. The air inside the facility is thick with unpleasant odors, a mix of poorly ventilated spaces, the lingering smell of human waste, and the stale stench of unclean living quarters. Such conditions represent an entirely new and harsh reality for a man who once lived in extravagance. Plumbing failures worsen the already dire circumstances. In a single month, the facility reportedly logged 800 work orders for plumbing repairs, ranging from clogged toilets to broken pipes. These ongoing issues highlight the lack of basic comforts that many outside of prison take for granted. For inmates housed in the special housing unit, where isolation is meant to maintain order, the challenges are even greater. Should Diddy ever find himself placed in the general population of MDC, the situation could become even more perilous. The facility has been operational since 1994 and has earned its infamy as a nightmare for those imprisoned there. Over the years, it has become notorious for extreme violence and inadequate oversight. Accounts from former inmates paint an extremely dreadful picture of life in MDC. Stabbings occur with alarming regularity, reportedly happening at least a couple of times each week. These are not isolated or impulsive attacks. Inmates often fashion makeshift weapons, some as long as 6 to 9 inches, increasing the lethality of these encounters. In one horrifying case, an inmate was repeatedly stabbed but received only a 25-day lockdown as a response, rather than the immediate medical attention he desperately needed. Another inmate lost his life to a stabbing, highlighting the dangerous and often fatal realities of life inside MDC. Such incidents are a warning of the facility's brutal environment. Corruption further exacerbates the dangers within MDC. Over the past 5 years, 6 correctional officers were terminated for smuggling contraband into the prison. These illicit items ranged from phones and drugs to razors and scalpels, further adding to the already volatile environment. Some inmates allege that certain correctional officers are affiliated with gangs, thereby destabilizing the balance of power and trust within the facility. This unchecked brutality has led some judges to hesitate before sentencing individuals to MDC. Still, with the closure of the Metropolitan Correctional Center, which previously held high-profile detainees, MDC remains one of the few facilities equipped to house individuals like Diddy. But should any harm come to him while incarcerated, the fallout would undoubtedly be immense. The question of Diddy's safety within MDC is critical. Recent reports suggest he may have been transferred from solitary confinement to a dormitory setting, possibly sharing space with another high-profile inmate, former crypto mogul Sam Bankman-Fried. While this might seem like an improvement on the surface, dormitory life presents its own set of challenges. Living in close quarters with other inmates, Diddy will likely face heightened anxiety and constant vigilance, forced to sleep lightly and stay alert at all times. Dormitories designated for protective custody are not immune to violence or danger. Fellow inmates, many of whom were charged with serious crimes, pose potential threats. Additionally, Diddy's immense wealth could make him a target for extortion, requiring him to pay significant sums to secure his safety in such a risky environment. Despite this hardship, Diddy's legal team has been vocal about the deplorable conditions at MDC. They've described the facility as horrific and have made efforts to secure his release on a huge $50 million bond. However, the judge denied this request, ensuring Diddy's continued stay behind bars. While his legal team battles for his freedom, the dark reality of his situation remains unchanged. In the midst of these bleak circumstances, new developments about Diddy and another inmate have stirred attention. Who could it be? Let's find out. Diddy versus Luigi, the unfolding drama at MDC has captured attention. As seen, Diddy Combs and Luigi Mangione find themselves sharing the same facility under strikingly different circumstances. While both men are high-profile inmates, their experiences behind bars couldn't be more distinct, with Diddy reportedly struggling with hostility and Luigi seemingly thriving among a surprisingly supportive crowd. Reports suggest that Diddy has been grappling with resentment from fellow inmates, which has left him feeling isolated and demoralized. The shift has left him vulnerable, with other inmates reportedly showing little sympathy for his plight. According to insiders, Diddy perceives this as unwarranted animosity, which has made his adjustment to life at the MDC all the more challenging. In stark contrast, Luigi Mangione has seemingly adapted with ease. After being transferred to the Brooklyn facility from Pennsylvania, Luigi has not only managed to avoid the negativity that plagues Diddy, but has also cultivated a sense of closeness among his fellow inmates. Luigi is facing severe charges, yet he has found an unexpected support network in prison. The contrasting receptions of the two men outline the unique social dynamics of life behind bars. While Diddy's fame seems to have alienated him, Luigi's ability to connect with inmates on a personal level has earned him respect. Many inmates reportedly view him as a symbol of their struggles, a sentiment that has helped Luigi avoid the hostility Diddy faces. However, as with many stories of this nature, rumors and speculation abound. While sources suggest that Diddy is unhappy with the situation, Luigi's legal team has categorically denied any claims of tension between the two men. According to them, the alleged hostility is either exaggerated or entirely fabricated. Interestingly, reports reveal that Diddy and Luigi have not interacted during their time at the MDC. This separation might not come as a surprise, given their differing legal battles and public profiles. Diddy, who has pleaded not guilty to charges he denies outright, is embroiled in a high-profile case that has attracted intense media scrutiny. Luigi, on the other hand, faces allegations of a heinous crime that has also drawn public attention, but for entirely different reasons. Despite their shared status as inmates at MDC, their worlds remain worlds apart. What adds an intriguing layer to the story is the unique connection between their legal teams. Diddy is represented by Mark Agnifilo, a well-known defense attorney specializing in high-profile cases. Luigi's defense, however, is being managed by Karen Friedman Agnifilo, Mark's wife and a seasoned attorney herself. Although the two men are not involved in each other's cases or lives, this overlap in legal representation has raised eyebrows. Mark and Karen are no strangers to handling challenging cases. Their professional partnership, though typically collaborative, has taken on an unusual form in this instance, as they navigate separate cases involving clients who are now in the same prison. While their work on behalf of their respective clients remains independent, the optics of this arrangement have added an additional layer of curiosity to the ongoing saga. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal battle continues to unfold, with his trial scheduled for the spring. His defense team is working diligently to gather evidence that supports his innocence, and one of their key arguments revolves around a set of controversial videos. According to legal documents obtained, Diddy's attorneys argue that these videos show consensual, intimate moments between him and his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. They contend that these recordings are being misrepresented in the case against him. The defense team asserts that the videos depict a relationship based on mutual consent and enjoyment, directly challenging the allegations of coercion or exploitation. They further claim that the footage was not found on Diddy's devices during the federal raid in early 2024. Instead, it turns out that Cassie had stored the videos on her own devices for years before voluntarily providing them to authorities. Diddy's lawyers maintain that these recordings not only lack any evidence of wrongdoing, but also depict a relationship where Cassie was in control and fully consenting. Despite these arguments, the allegations against Diddy remain serious. As Diddy's legal battle progresses, the public remains captivated by the unfolding drama. His case continues to draw attention, raising questions about privilege, justice, and the issues faced by high-profile defendants. For now, Diddy awaits his day in court, hoping to clear his name. His stories serve as a reminder of the multifaceted nature of justice and the unexpected ways in which lives can suffer, even in the most unlikely of places. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.